we're delighted to have you, that you took time to be with us today. We really appreciate that, Lisa.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Lisa Torres,
Okay,
with us today. We're so excited. She is a no BS online marketer, and she's spoken on stages. She has her own podcast, courses, coaching, and offers daily help to online marketers in her no-nonsense style. She's an inspiration, to be sure. She was born and raised in the Bronx, New York, and is currently living with her family in the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia, in her dream home. But her life has not always been so glamorous, as I understand. Lisa struggled for about 18 years and made only $20 during that time. I think she'll tell us about that. And if it wasn't for a good friend who felt sorry for her, she might not even have had that $20. But I'll let her share today a little bit more about her transformation.
Well, one thing I know is that Lisa started offline before you moved to online. And how did you get started in your online marketing?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to speak with your audience. It's always appreciated. And yes, you got the story pretty much right. But yes, I did a lot of offline stuff when the internet didn't exist. Okay. I started in network marketing when I was 19. We didn't have the internet. We had flyers and we had magnets on the cars and we had bulletin boards that we could put stuff on, and at the laundromats or the supermarkets we had meetings that we can go to, and hotel rooms that we can book, and home parties that we can do, and all these offline things. There was no lead generation. It was business card collecting. Okay, that was our lead generation, is collecting business cards or giving our business cards out. So when I was 19 and I started, the first 18 years, like you said, I only made $20. And like you said, it was from a friend that felt sorry for me because she saw that I was working, but I wasn't making any sales. Okay. And then fast forward to like 18 years later, I got laid off from my job. I was working in corporate America, in a bank in New York City. It was a corporate bank, not like a branch bank, but a corporate bank.
Sure.
And I hated it. Okay. And even when I was working in my little cubicle, which I absolutely hated going to every day, I still really didn't know the internet. Okay. This was back in 2007. So I had a fax machine though. And so I was faxing everybody that I had their fax number to. I was just faxing everybody a flyer about my business. I was doing, again, still, home parties and three-way calls and all these different things. Nothing worked. Like absolutely nothing. Nobody wanted to buy anything.
And I remember those days
Okay, good.
would fax things to us and we'd say, why are they wasting our paper?
Right. And so I would, on my break at my little in my little cubicle that I hated going to every day, I would go and put a sign on the back of my chair that says, "Out to lunch, do not disturb," because that was my hour to get my business done. And of course, I was using their fax machine, and their conference office to make my business calls. And again, still nothing ever worked. So in 2007, I got laid off from my job, and I was like, well, this is a blessing. I was kind of scared a little bit because I didn't know what to expect, but I did know that I wouldn't, from that point on, I was unemployable. I was never going back to a job again. I did know that. I just didn't know how I was going to do it yet. So anyway, make a long story short, I turned to YouTube, and I was doing, I was just looking at a whole bunch of different people to kind of get a feel of what they were doing and how they were doing it, and really trying to figure out who I wanted to, number one, model after, and number two, join in business. Okay. And so I looked at a few people, finally made my decision about a couple months later. I joined a woman from Florida. Her name's Steph. And I joined Steph. When we got on the phone, we were on the phone for like an hour. I had watched her for a while on YouTube because she was, creating these videos, just sharing her story and sharing her lifestyle and sharing her goals and sharing her mission and sharing her business. And I was like, kind of like attracted to her. Attracted is the key word. I was attracted to her content. And so I reached out to her. We had a long conversation for about an hour. We were on the phone. And that night I joined her business. It was a little $97 program. And when we hung up the phone, something hit me. I got this kind of like epiphany. And I stepped back and I realized what just happened. What just happened was she was shooting videos. She attracted me to her. I pulled out my credit card and joined her business. She was in Florida. I was in New York. There's something here. Right?
Yes.
Something just happened. And I was like, oh my God, like she just enrolled me and I'm in New York. And that was like a big aha moment for me. It was a big deal because I couldn't even recruit anybody. I couldn't even recruit my neighbor, right? Let alone a stranger, let alone someone in a different state. So to me, that was just like, oh my God, I think I'm onto something here. And so from that point on, I started shooting videos and shooting videos and shooting videos like every single day. And no one was signing up again. And that went on for about 6 months until I finally made my first sale. So it took a while of doing a lot of videos before I made my first sale. And once that first sale came, it was slow at first, but then it started picking up because I was consistent and I was showing up and I was sharing my message and I was sharing my goals. And I was basically doing what she was doing, what Steph was doing. I was modeling after her. And eventually it started to pick up. So that's kind of how I started.
Great.
Well, that's great. And then over time, you've been able to help a lot of people, using some of those strategies that you learned there and more. But what would you say has been your biggest challenge? Once you got the ball rolling, then what's been your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge, and believe it or not, it still is it's not so much getting people results, because I can show people how to get the results. The challenge is, let's take it back to my story a little bit. How I struggled for 18 years and only made $20, right? Most people are not willing to stick it out that long.
No.
Most people will say, oh, I shot two videos, it's not working, I quit.
Yeah.
And so the challenge sometimes, in some cases, not for everybody, because some people are going to take what I teach them and run with it and be consistent with it and do really big things in their business. And then there's this other group of people who will try it, play around with it for a little bit, and then step back because they're not getting instant results, right? They're not willing to wait the 18 years. Not that they're going to wait 18 years, but you know what I mean? They're not willing to give it enough time, because nothing happens overnight. I mean, of course, you have the lucky ones that things do happen overnight, for, where they're like these overnight instant success stories, right? I wasn't one of those people. And so I think one of my challenges is getting that group of people to be consistent, because there's a lot of those that, because they are not seeing instant success, even if it's just a small little success, because they're not seeing that, they get discouraged, they just are uninspired, they're unmotivated, and they quit. And then they say that it doesn't work. And then they go back to a job that they hate. Okay. So that's really big. I think one of the biggest challenges is getting that group of people that, want the instant success to really grasp in their brain that this is not an instant success. This takes time. This is hard work. This is, this is not some kind of rich, quick scheme. There's no business that has ever started, offline or online, that was this get rich. It just doesn't exist. You have to work. And what most people, okay, we heard the statistics before, 97% of people fail in business, right? And then you have the 3% that actually keep going, like me, like you guys, right? But then you have that big group of people who just, they're more willing to quit than to keep moving forward.
Right.
So that's been I think, the biggest challenge.
Yeah. I encounter those people too. And you want to be able to provide something for them or help them to see that it is not going to be overnight. You know, they see people that are successful and they don't know how long, or they don't know the sweat and tears that it took us to get there, you know, so.
And they even see the people that appeared to be overnight successes, and they don't realize that that person worked 10 years at it before they became an overnight success. So, Lisa.
In most cases, yes, that is.
Yeah. We enjoy taking time off now and then and going to see our grandchildren, but that's not an everyday kind of thing. So for you with a family at home, how do you balance your work life and your family life?
Okay, I'm going to show you right now. Here it goes.
Yes.
That's how you do it.
Everything is scheduled.
That is how you do it. That coupled with everything is scheduled, okay? Whether you want to use, you know, paper, or, because I use both, I use paper and digital. I use paper to kind of brain dump. And then once I have my final thing that I want to do, I dump it on digital so that I don't have to carry this around. But, you know, in our lives, in our business, we have a whole bunch of different categories. We have our business, we have our health, we have our kids, we have our spouse, we have our hobbies, we have our part-time little gigs, we have a job, we have whatever. Okay, we have so many different things in our lives. Every single thing, okay, from a simple task like making a few calls or checking your emails, they need to be scheduled. But other things like, you know, taking a spa day and going to get a massage, or, you know, going to the movies with your family, or having a family day, or going on vacation, or sitting down for 2 hours or an hour at a, you know, chunk at a time. Every single thing needs to go on a calendar. Because if you don't put it on a calendar, everything that needs to get done, you're going to sit here trying to rack your brains and you're not going to be balanced. The calendar actually helps you balance.
Right.
Helps you balance all of those categories in your life. So for me, the calendar and kind of like a daily agenda brainstorm, you know, my selfie mastermind, or whatever you want to call it, it starts in this. It starts here. And then it gets dumped on the calendar so that I can organize my life accordingly.
Sure.
That's great wisdom. And I do both as well. Have a paper and have the, but, you know, sometimes we need to have that reminder. A calendar is what will really make or break. You know, I've got a lot of people that are trying to balance a lot of stuff right now. You know, they're still working full-time jobs and doing this, but I did that once and I know how I made it. So. Oh,
and you taught karate, taught piano, volunteered at church, and took care of kids and worked full-time at the same time.
Right.
And I don't know how you did it.
Well, the grace of God, but at the same time, keeping organized. That's always a good thing. That's probably a good thing. So you shared us a little bit about, you know, your breakthrough and, you know, how you struggle, and then, you know, the breakthrough and, you know, things. Is there anything else you want to share on that? Anything about your before and after? Who are you now versus who were you then? And
What
Anything-
made that breakthrough happen?
Yeah. Talk about that breakthrough, that transformation a little bit.
I think it has everything to do with your vision, right? Where do you want to go? Okay, think about this for a second. And I was actually thinking about this the other day too. We have to grow into the person that we want to become, right? Kind of just like when, let's say, a baby, right? A baby, you can't buy like adult clothes, like big clothes, to fit the baby, because the baby needs little baby clothes in their size, right? They're not grown enough to fit in adult clothes, right? They're going to be swimming in it.
Exactly.
They have to grow into clothes, okay? And this is a great analogy, but what I'm about to say might offend a few people, okay? So be prepared. If that baby dies, God forbid, okay, there is no growing into the clothes, the bigger clothes, because the baby died, right? Same thing applies to your business. The moment that your business dies and you stop, you will never grow into that person that you want to grow into. It will never ever happen because you died. You allowed your business to die and stop growing.
That is a hard word to hear, because you've got to keep that growing edge, or it doesn't keep growing without you. You've got to grow too. That's a great insight.
Yeah, that's it. It is. I mean, think about, I'm the type of person that I don't have like a lot of living plants around. Every time I buy like living plants for like my backyard or porch, they die really fast because I just forget to take care of them.
Right.
And so I just stopped buying like little flowers and little plants because I'm just not good at taking care of them. And so think about your business, right? If you want those plants to thrive and to live and to grow and to be beautiful, you have to water them. You have to spray them. You got to feed them their vitamins. You have to take care of them, or you're going to die. Okay?
Right.
So how are you nurturing your business and yourself? Because it's not just about the results in your business. It's about the person, your growth, your self-development, and the person that you're growing into, your transformation, right? How are you going? Like, for example, for me, I was always like the shy introvert, and I'm still a little bit shy and introverted, but I've grown into not being that type of person anymore. I used to be afraid to speak on stage. Now I love speaking on stages. So I've grown into that. Right. And so if you're not willing to fit the mold, right? There was no way 10 years I would have fit the mold into the person that I am today. No way. I would have never fit the mold, okay? So you have to be willing to grow into that mold that you want to become.
Right.
And if you're not willing to do that, your business is going to suffer. Your life is going to suffer, okay? It's going to continue to suffer. You're not willing. I like this phrase, this saying that I say all the time. In order to get to the rainbow, you got to go through the rain. There is no ands but body, okay?
Right.
In order for the rainbow is not going to show up in the sky if it doesn't rain first.
Right.
Okay, so
yeah, I might use that.
Just think of it like that.
Yes,
I will definitely
that's a good
use
one.
that and give you credit for that one.
Now, I know that as an online marketer, you provide coaching to other people, but one of the things that we've learned is that one of the best ways to learn to coach anybody is to be coached yourself. So tell us, how has coaching that you've received made a difference for you and your business?
Let me tell you something. Think about it like this. Here's another analogy. I love analogies, right? I'm like an analogy freak because it allows people to really understand things. Think about this for a second. if you were, let's say, we'll use two ends of the world here, right? Or two ends of the United States, we should say. You have, let's say, New York, and you have California, okay? They're on east side, west side, right? Or if you were in New York, and you wanted to get to California, driving, what are you gonna need?
A car. And lots of gas.
What are you going to?
A
what?
car and lots of gas. Well, that would
A
help.
what?
She said a car and lots of gas, but I'm thinking
And what else?
you might need a map too, or a GPS today.
Thank you. Thank you. That's exactly what you need. Me personally, I can't go anywhere without my GPS because I'm just like, I can't remember how to get there. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to get to New York to California driving, guess what? Good luck getting there if you don't have a GPS. Well,
Right.
we don't use maps anymore, so we'll just say GPS.
I
If you
know,
don't have a
I'm showing my
GPS,
age.
okay? But if you don't have a GPS and you try to get there without the GPS, it's gonna take you a longer time to get there. When you could just plug in the address in California while you're in New York, and the little GPS will tell you, your coach will tell you exactly how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So for me, the bottom line is you can either figure it out yourself and chase your tail and get lost
Which means like
in the
going
process,
all around.
probably never get there.
Right.
That's right. And probably never get there. Or you can get the GPS or the coach and get there faster.
Right. That might be a little bit harder for the guys to ask for somebody to give them directions, but it's important.
Right. Yes. But even if you stopped several times to ask people for directions, guess what? You keep stopping. That's holding you back.
Right.
It's holding you back. Because
Yes.
you have to stop all the time. But if you have the roadmap, if you have the GPS, if you have the blueprint, you get there faster and you don't need to make any stops.
That's right.
Right.
You've shared so many nuggets, and I love analogies so much. But if you had to give our audience or whoever's watching this video one more takeaway, one more nugget, what would be a final takeaway you'd like to share?
Well, let's see. My final takeaway would probably be to whatever business it is that you're growing, know who your audience is, know what they struggle with, create some kind of free offer so that you can start building your list, because list building, that's your asset right there. It's not a Facebook post, it's not a Facebook ad, it's not an Instagram picture, it is your email list, okay? So know who your audience is, know what they're struggling with, and create something that serves them and give it to them for free in exchange for their email address, right? So, which means you have to put your big girl panties on and your big boy drawers on, and you got to learn how to build funnels. I know people are so scared of technology, but technology is actually your best friend when it comes to online marketing. It is your best friend. Don't be intimidated and so afraid of technology, because there's so many tutorials out there on how to actually do something. There's so many systems, for example, like ClickFunnels, that make it so easy for you to create a little funnel for yourself so that you can give something away, so that you can start generating your own email list and then serve that market, right? Sell to that market, engage with that market, okay? And so that would be my final takeaway. Just really keep that in mind. If you want to build a business online, it starts with you knowing who they are and how you're going to serve them. You serve them, you engage with them, and you sell to them. That's your blueprint.
That is a good one.
How was that?
You've given us so much. You've given us so much today. There's so many nuggets in there that I'm going to look forward to going through this one several times.
Yes, me as well. Me as well. So what is the best way to reach out to you for anybody that might be interested in getting to know you better?
I think my blog or maybe Facebook. So my blog is LisaTorresSpeaks.com, and Facebook, just Lisa Torres.
And we thank you so much for your time today. It's been delightful as always.
We really appreciate that. Have a great day.
Well, thank you so much, guys. It has been, yes, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you guys. And thank you guys for watching, and see you when I see you.
Okay.